Welcome back to the United Pubcast for another special edition of the Pubcast. And as you can see, not unfortunately, Larry isn't able to join us, but someone who needs no introduction to any Manchester United fans, especially from us Man United fans here in Sydney, who so often do travel over to Manchester and Old Trafford. No introduction needed, but Webby from the Webby O'Neill show. Good to have you back on, mate. Second appearance on the Pubcast. So, how's things, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. It was a long time since we spoke. I think it was just the start of COVID or maybe just before. So,
I had to look back. I'll tell you when it was. It was the week before Ronaldo made his debut against Newcastle.
right, yeah. Well, that was a long time ago. No, all good, mate. Looking forward to the start of the season. Hopefully, we'll speak about the takeover, etc., as the programme goes on. But like I was saying, I'm just sat here. The weather's lovely. The cricket's on mute, so I'm very happy.
Yeah, well, we're just discussing there a little bit of tension, a little bit of controversy in and around all the cricket fans between England and Australia, no doubt. But while we wait for a few people to get into the chat and sort of get all their opinions and questions in, just you mentioned COVID there, and obviously since we last spoke, I was just before all the excitement around Cristiano Ronaldo and that return, and the return was brilliant, but then it obviously unfolded how it obviously did. But just in regards to, as I say, so many fans from Australia would know you sort of travelling over to hotel football and Old Trafford. Just in terms of that last sort of post-COVID, just sort of how hotel football and everything has bounced back around side Old Trafford. I'm sure this will come in the discussion around sort of the takeover and sort of stadium issues and etc. But the last 2 years as a Man United fan, as we've sort of got back on our feet, have you found it over there?
Yeah. It's very strange. Obviously, at first, obviously, still being at the hotel on a match day when the fans weren't allowed in the stadium or the hotel or bars around the ground. Just as a presence, because we did get quite a lot of people still coming down. Believe with Man United out, there's still people knowing they couldn't get in, were still coming to the ground and having a radio set up and all on the phones, knowing that the team was 50 yards inside the stadium, they couldn't do anything about it. No, it was strange, not just for the likes of us over here, strange for the United fans around the world who obviously plan to come over a few times years, and that wasn't allowed. But no, back on its feet, it's back to normal, busy. Seeing all the faces which you didn't see for a bit of time, going to the away game, bumping into people again. So it was a strange time, but we're back now. So, the crowd, Old Trafford's always full every game, whether we play Chelsea or we play Colchester. So it's good to be back. But obviously, great season last year. Like you said, if you would have said to me before the season starts, I know it didn't end well with the cup final against City, but we get back in the Champions League and Eddie could win his first pot. I would have snapped your hands off, especially after the Brentford away game. I was over in Norway with Tony for that, and we got the pub up, and within 25 minutes, the pub was empty. So after that, it couldn't have got any worse for us United fans. But we believed in Eddie. I believe in Eddie, and if he gets the right tools this year, then I think we won't be that far away. I'm not saying we're going to push City for the league, but we'll be a lot closer to what we was last season.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll discuss in terms of one of those important tools that he sort of is after, and obviously a new goalkeeper. That'll come into a lot of the discussion. But just say good day to a few people. Dion, good to see you as always. George as well. Hope all is well. And John, one of our members from Man United Supporters Club here in Sydney, has been over. He's quite a regular at Old Trafford in terms of he's travelling back and forth. Thanks for looking after me at the Derby day before lockdown. Webby he actually was at that 2-0 Scott McTominay goal. John, one of our members. God, wasn't that a moment? And then everything sort of went downhill after that. But just on that, in regards to, as I mentioned, the goalkeeper, it is going to be so weird. Wolves at home, first game of the season in about a month's time, 2 months' time, whenever it is. David De Gea is not going to be between the sticks, first time in 12 years. And I'm just thinking, we'll get into the ins and outs of his exit and sort of the future for Manchester United's in the goalkeeping department. But just sum up your thoughts now that David De Gea is no longer a Man United goalkeeper.
Absolutely disgusted the way he's been treated by the club. People are putting it down to did he not shake the hands? Well, he blanked the hands of the Glazers in the tunnel after the Carling Cup final. Is that one of the reasons? Listen, I'm a big fan of these. I think it was time for the change. That's nothing against David. I think time moves on for everybody. It's just the way they've treated him. No, we're never going to say. The last thing I've seen of David De Gea was walking down the tunnel at Wembley. And I didn't want that to happen like that, but it has. And I just think the way the club have handled it is an absolute disgrace. But times moved on. We've had bigger and better players leave the club. and we've still been in there and thereabouts. But it just sums the club up for me the way this has happened. The word on the street in Manchester and probably around the world, he got offered a contract, and then they withdrew the contract for less money. Now, if you look at a job and you get offered a pay rise and you take it away and give you something less, you're not going to be too happy. So I'm absolutely gutted he's left. I think it's probably the right time, but just the manner, the way he's left the club, doesn't sit pretty with me. And whoever comes in, I've got big gloves to fill, because if you look at the amount of times that Spanish Dave saves us over the years, I know people are going to go on his mistakes, because when a goalkeeper makes a mistake, he's going to get punished. It's 9 times out of 10 it leads into a goal. If he's a full-back, you can get away with it maybe on a midfielder. But no, just really disappointed the way the club handled it. But deep down, not surprised one bit.
I think that's the thing in regards to, is it kind of a worrying trend in regards to the way some of the, and sometimes just unfortunate circumstance, but in regards to the way some of our legends have left the club over the last decade, since the Glazers' whole period, but you look at Ed Woodward's time, and now unfortunately even this year, a bit of a worrying trend in regards to Rio Ferdinand and Patrice Evra have spoken about it. We've seen it here with David De Gea. You look at the sort of fiasco with Ander Herrera and everything, just in regards to the way some of our players do leave the club. Again, sometimes it's just unfortunate circumstances, but it just seems our great players don't leave on the best of terms, and it just they should be leaving, but they deserve a lot better in terms of their exit.
Yeah, I think any player, if they've been servants when you've been there 1 year and 13 years, have a bit of decency, treat them well. I think Ronaldo, I didn't like the way that happened. He had to leave the club. A lot of people were getting upset by him, and I think Ronaldo realised that he wasn't the same player he was. I was actually buzzing, like every 99.9% United fan in the world probably, when he come back, and it started off great. But you can see little things going on, and you're hearing little things in the background. But it doesn't surprise me about the club. The people who run the club don't have a clue about football, don't have a clue about the empties. The owners don't. It proves that. I keep hearing this about the owners when they got caught in the European Super League. Will be over to see and speak to the fans face to face. Been nowhere near. Been absolutely nowhere near. Well, that doesn't surprise me. They're only in it for one thing, is to make money. 7 months ago, I was waking up to news that it was up for sale. I was the happiest man in the world, like you was. We're 7 months down the line now. We're no closer to what's going on, and it's affecting Eric, because Eric didn't sign up for this. Eric probably got told, listen, you've got this, you've got that, you're going to have this, and all of a sudden, you've got this amount to spend, and whatever else you want to bring in, you've got enough to sell. Now, let's say, right now, I'm going to use Harry Maguire as an example, and that's nothing against Harry, but who's going to pay? We paid 80 million for him. Who's going to pay that? Nobody. We'll be looking to get half of that, and we'll probably take it because we're probably the worst club in the world at selling players, and the record over the years has shown that. But looking at the day, if we roll back on that, I think the club give Phil Jones a better send off than David De Gea, in my eyes. And it stinks. It absolutely stinks. But what can we do? We just got to get on it. But I wish Dave all the best wherever he goes. They get the top class people. Hopefully, he doesn't come back to bite us on the bum, which has happened a few times when we've let players go and they come back to players. Personally, I think he'd probably go to Saudi, but you never know. A few years ago, he nearly went back to Spain. His missus is Spanish. He's got a baby, better climate. If the team in Spain wants a decent keeper, there's one knocking about for free.
I want to you're completely right. I want to get back to one point in regards to the treatment of David De Gea, not so much from the club but the fans. But one point you bring up there in regards to the send off, and sort of Phil Jones had that sort of it was like a week long sort of tribute to Phil Jones in regards to he's on the pitch, he's getting all these things. And I just think with David De Gea, we obviously saw, it must have been 5 or 6 days ago, he put out an emoji on Twitter, as sort of the modern footballer does it, put something out there suggesting that Manchester United was some type of circus. I'm just looking at it now in terms of you drawing the dots, and now you obviously see that he's officially left the club, and Manchester United's chase of this Onana, which we'll get into in a little bit. It almost seems, with no sort of inside knowledge onto the communication between David De Gea and the club, but it pretty much looks like, okay, he's out of contract. Manchester United said, look, you're out of contract. Don't say anything yet. Until we finalise Onana, don't say anything yet. So you can still sign this contract potentially if we don't get Onana. So my understanding, just putting 2 and 2 together, is the Onana deal is now done. And then they've said, okay, David, now you can go do your farewell post and we'll say goodbye, etc. Because I think he was probably wanting to move on in terms of saying, I want to sort of say my farewell and move on with my career. But Manchester United saying, hang on, don't say anything yet. Because if this Onana deal falls through, we'll probably end up going to give you the contract we initially did put on the table. So again, I just go into you mentioned Phil Jones got that sort of a good tribute, a good farewell. And it just, look, Phil Jones, David De Gea, I don't want to say one deserves it over the other, but obviously David De Gea is a club legend. And I'm just thinking, you're right, it just stinks in regards to the way they just let his contract run down and just sort of don't do anything, just sort of dangled that carrot in front of him. And it's ended in tears, unfortunately.
And just basically just going over to any footballer, any club, any club that lets any player go down below 18 months, you're losing the risk. You look at the prime example for me was Steve McManaman at Liverpool when he went to Madrid. Probably one of the biggest first Bosnians going. He absolutely cheated them for 12 months. He won't go into tackles. He was saying he was injured, hardly ever played. And that's the way to do. So under Ferguson, any player that went to 18 months and started dillying about his contract, it was bye-bye. Yeah. You're off. Whoever he was. The club have made an absolute mess. Like I said previously, I think it was time for him to move on. You do get stale after 12 years, probably at one workplace, but it's just the way it's been handled. You know what I mean? The way it's been handled has been absolutely a disgrace. And it's a disgrace, and that's all I can say is for him not to be able to say bye to the fans, because I've been to games all around Europe watching United, and I've come out of there and I thought, Christ, God, we've got De Gea. He saved us again. I was
watching highlights earlier. Yeah. I was watching highlights earlier, thinking it's a miracle we didn't get relegated one year. Like in terms of the saves he was making.
Yeah. No, just bad form by the club, and hopefully that you never know. He could come back in so many months' time, and we can offer him a testimonial. We can say our proper goodbye to him because he deserves it. He's made the mistake, but I look at it there when he first come to United, and then the game at the Charity Shield, he let the boo-boo in, and a week later we played West Brom away, and he let another boo-boo in. He looked like a scared kid. He looked like a rabbit in headlights. I know he's been playing for Atletico Madrid, but they're not on a par with Manchester United, I'm afraid. So he come into the club, and then I remember him a couple of pre-seasons, he just disappeared. He come back a man, bulked up, and then the record speaks for himself, the clean sheet, Golden Gloves last year. So, no, totally United legend, deserved a lot better. And like I said, hopefully one day we can say a proper goodbye to him. Just hopefully that he's not in an opposition's net and he's getting man of the match against us. But there you go. But that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Just one point, the last point on David De Gea, just in regards to Dion here. All I can say, David's a legend. Wish him all the best. You mentioned the fans there. We'll discuss the club's treatment of him. Now, you're someone who at Hotel Football and at Old Trafford every week, away from home, etc., interact with so many fans, and you'd see the regular match-going fans, and then you'd see, obviously, on social media and YouTube, you get a sense of what the narrative online is. So interacting with a whole sort of different demographics of Manchester United fans. Me personally, I'm positive you'd probably share a similar opinion. The treatment of him, and how do we define what a fan is? But the treatment online of him from the Manchester United fan base, it's sickening in regards to how you treat any player, but especially, as you say, someone who's done what he has for Manchester United. The treatment I've seen from David De Gea online it's just embarrassing from Man United fans.
And he really United fans, though.
That's why I try and find some hope in that.
Some people who support United. Never been, don't know what it's about, don't know how good Spanish Day's been for us over the years. They make a mistake and he get absolutely slaughtered, but that's the world we live in, unfortunately. It's a world of social media, but any fan with half a brain knows football, knows what a top player we had, and for the money we paid and the games he saved us and the trophies he helped win us. And then in history books, you know what I mean? It'll never go away. So I don't worry about them. They do get me annoyed, but just leave them to it. Leave them in a little sad world in the bedrooms. The next person who makes a mistake, they'll all over them. That's what they get the kicks out of. They've not got a clue, mate. But in my eyes and your eyes, and any decent United fan around the world, whether they're in Salford or Sydney, knows what a top keeper he's been for the club, and how badly he will be missed next season.
Now, look, I completely agree. But however, here we are. We're going to talk about goalkeepers, and obviously where they make mistakes. Our next goalkeeper, look, we're not experts on him, but from what we've seen, Onana, look, let's hope he's going to come in and be brilliant. And obviously, in terms of what Eric Ten Hag wants, you can fully see and understand why he's bringing him in. But I'm getting flashbacks, and obviously, you would remember the name as well in Fabian Barthez. And I'm just thinking, look, this does look like, in my opinion, I don't watch him week in, week out. Obviously, did see the Champions League final. He does look like sort of what Manchester United and sort of modern football is looking like in the future. But he's going to need, we talk about treatment from fans, he's going to need the fans backing because unfortunately the way he plays the game, he's going to make a clanger, he's going to make a big mistake, and the weight of the Manchester United goalkeeping shirt is going to weigh heavy, and he's going to need a lot of support. So just your thinking and thoughts around this new kid who looks like he's going to be coming in.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun watching him. He's going to cause a few heart attacks in Old Trafford, but no, he's a modern day footballer. First come across him in the Europa League final in Stockholm when he was the goalkeeper for Ajax. And his record this year, last season in the Champions League, so many clean sheets. You can only think that is a good keeper. And we've been put in that position now where he's got to come in, and he's got to come in straight away as number one, where he might have come in and took a bit of time to adjust. But no, I think he's a good goalkeeper. I don't think if you play for Ajax or Inter Milan, you've got to be a bit of a duff keeper. But there's going to be the odd mistake, and the fans have got to get behind him. But that's a modern day keeper now. I've seen some things on social media today where he's turning and he's dribbling past centre forwards in his own 6-yard box, So it will be fun. There will be mistakes, but got to get behind him. He's coming to a, not unlike to say no disrespect to Inter Milan, coming to a bigger club in United. So and the pressure's going to be on him for, because it's United, whoever signs for United, if a new tea lady signs for United, there's pressure on her. He's coming in and he's replacing a club legend. So, no, I'm looking forward to it. Let's just get it over the line now, because the pressure's on United now to get it done and hopefully get him on that plane and get him over for that first season friendly in Oslo, which is next week. So let's get it done, and we know what else we need, to make us, well,
it goes in my next point, which I completely agree, and I do feel that in terms of this De Gea farewell and the official announcement of him leaving, that tells me behind the scenes this Onana deal's done. Now, they might be sorting out one of bits of paperwork and the payment structures, everything. I think Onana is done. That's without any knowledge, just putting two and two together. But you mentioned our need and Eric Ten Hag's need as well. It would have been very interesting if Harry Kane was on the table and a sort of realistic option to go and buy that striker, if that would have maybe kept David De Gea in terms of you can only buy one, get a good goalkeeper or a good striker. And Eric Ten Hag's eyes were on a striker. Okay, that's potentially off the table. Now I'll shift focus to potentially a goalkeeper. So just at the other end of the pitch, just your latest feelings, because there's a lot of talk around this Højlund, which that does look like it's going to happen. But in terms of what Manchester United demand in terms of success, is a young kid coming from Italy who scored a handful of goals really going to lead Manchester United? And that's not to criticise him. Obviously, he does look a bit of a prospect, but is different to Harry Kane.
Oh yeah, you check Harry Kane all day long, proven goal scorer, absolutely top class. But Spurs aren't going to sell him to us, not going to sell him on a driver. I really think that he'll stay at Spurs and probably leave on a free next year and go abroad, where obviously he's not going to really his ex-team unless they draw him in the Champions League and Spurs get into it. But there again, you're saying about centre forward, I'm a big fan of Tony Marshall's. He's just so... You just can't rely on him,
It's a shame Larry's not on. Look, I'm a big fan of Marshall. Larry's a huge fan, and just you're completely right. As the footballer, he's perfect. He's just hardly on the football pitch.
Yeah, it's just that when I got the news that he was out injured for the cup final, it didn't shock me. It didn't probably shock any United fan around the world. But then again, we're going about number 9. We're talking about that kid from Atalanta. But then we're going to the other question: Mason Greenwood. What happens with him? Excuse me, Mason's a top player, a top player now. Does he come back? He's going to get stick from United fans. He's going to get stick from away fans, even if he's not done anything. Because you look at Mason Greenwood, and I've been fortunate to see him grow up through the ranks. Great player. Now, what happens to him? There's talk on the street they're going to send him on loan to Italy, but what's that going to prove? He's not going to prove anything. He's going to get dogs abuse wherever he goes, but the Glazers are not going to let an 150 million pound asset walk out the door for nothing. They're just not going to do it. So what happens with him? Do we send him on loan? that decision needs to be made now because it's dragging on. Personally, I think he could probably leave the club. I know a lot of people are upset, but they're not just going to let him go for nothing. So, what do we do with him? Because on his day, we was going to build a team around him because he's that good. The best natural finisher I've seen in the English games is probably Robbie Fowler.
I was happy for Erling Haaland to go to Manchester City if we had Greenwood. I thought maybe not he wouldn't score 40 goals, but in terms of the next big thing was Mason Greenwood.
Yeah, we just have to wait and see. It's a massive decision for the club. The sponsors, they want him running out with the stuff on. Obviously, as we're speaking now, there's been talks behind the door, but the next couple of weeks is very, very important in his career, not just as Man United, but as a footballer. It's pre-season. He's got to come back one way or the other. Did they send him on loan? I just don't know. I'm not going to boo any United player.
Well, it just goes a question here, Webby, from one of our members from the Supporters Club, just in regards to Greenwood, just in regards to reception at Old Trafford. Just again, you can't speak for everyone. Everyone's going to have different feelings and everything. Just the feeling if Greenwood was to walk out in a red shirt at Old Trafford, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the reception would be, but
I think it won't be. There's going to be people who are going to boo. That's their prerogative. They pay their money. That's down to them. But if he scores an 89th-minute winner against Liverpool, that's suddenly forgotten. Believe you me, the world we live in. So I don't know. I think the club's got the decision to make whether they send him out on loan or they get him back involved. Personally, I think they could send him out on loan and see what the reaction is to him around the world. But even without all this, he's a Man United player, so the opposite fans, the away fans are going to give him help. Is he strong enough to deal with it? Only time will tell. But like I say, the next 2 or 3 weeks are crucial with his footballing life, not just United, but anywhere. So let's just see. But I personally think he'll go on loan.
Yeah, no, that's along the lines of my thinking. Look, and I've made this not decisions, not my decision to make. Yeah. I'm happy. Look at brilliant player, fantastic player. I'm happy to sort of see the back of Mason Greenwood in terms of what he's done. But the line of thinking from Manchester United would be to loan him out to Italy. If he can score 30 goals, well, hang on, you still got that 60, 70, maybe £100 million player, then you can sell. At the moment, you can't really sell him for that. So I understand the line of thinking, see what he does on loan, and then reevaluate the situation. But it's just unfortunate. Yeah. The situation should have been sorted by now. He should have been on loan. A decision should have been made. How it's dragged out. But it's dragging out not so much or not as long as the takeover, Webby. Just your thoughts to wrap up. Just in regard, look, you said there 7-8 months it's been dragging out. We can have a discussion, Qatar, Ineos, who do you prefer, etc. But just in regards to how it's playing, it's just, I'd say the most important thing, it's not helping Erik ten Hag. And that's what when we show up on a Saturday to watch Manchester United play, that's all we care about. And this is a detriment to the team.
I woke up 7 months ago with the news that he was selling. Happiest man in the world. Happy, so happy. 7 months down the line, we're still in the same situation. But I remember getting my email from the club about the season ticket going up, thinking, well, if these want to sell, they're not going to reap the benefits of all this profit. What they've had for since they took over, because they never put the season tickets up. I just don't know, how much money do you want? The word on the street that the Sheikhs offered them $6 billion. 3 or 4 of the children have never set foot in Old Trafford, don't give a monkeys about United, and just want their money. But is it the other two, because they've been hands-on, the day-to-day, well, the running, not saying the day-to-day thing, because they only come over for cup finals and big games. They want more money, but we just want them gone, mate. The money they've took out of the club, the debt they've laid on the club. I got Old Trafford. I'm quite fortunate. I got Old Trafford every home game. And some people I see come over to Hotel Football and look at Old Trafford. Oh, isn't it brilliant? Look at that stadium, the best in the world. It's absolutely falling down. It's old. It's like me, old, decrepit, needs a lick of paint. And I say to my friends, that's no disrespect to Tottenham Hotspur, but why have they got a better stadium than Man United? Leicester City are now relegated. Why have they got a better training ground than Manchester United? Because of their owners put money in, don't check it out. We want them gone. Only time will tell. We wake up, we hear rumours every minute of the day in Manchester. The sale's being announced tomorrow. This is being done. And nothing's happening. And we're 7 months down the line, and it looks like we're going to go into next season with them still owning the club. And it's disheartening. When they're not bothered about it. They proved that in the European Super League. And it wasn't just them. There was other teams, but they never put a penny in their own money in. You know, you go to Carrington now, if you're lucky enough to get into Carrington, get an invite. That's old now. That's old. You know,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't be like that. With Manchester United, the biggest club in the world, we should have the best. But while these clowns are still involved, mate, it's not going to happen. Now, how long does this Jake wait for? You know, was it 5-6 weeks ago now we put this last bid in, what they said, and nothing in it. I don't think Radcliffe's a man, you know, that's nothing against him, but if you can turn around and say the Glazers are nice people and you don't eat well at my table, you know, and I can understand that from a business point of view, he's not going to slag them off. But no, he's not got the money. We've read what he's done to Nice, you know. I was fortunate to be in the presence of Peter Schmeichel a few months ago, whose son Casper signed for Nice. He said the worst decision he's made in his life, whether, you know, and there you go. And you talk to some people, some Nice fans, and they're saying the same. They thought Radcliffe would be the saviour, but he's done nothing. So we all know who we want in. Will it happen? Hopefully, one day in the future, we'll wake up and we'll have new owners, and we can probably redevelop Old Trafford or build a new ground at the side of Old Trafford.
Well, it goes to my next point is stadium. Before we get into the stadium, which is the point I want to finish on, so it's good you brought that up. Just in regards to, you mentioned the Super League when you were discussing that, in regards to, we all saw the protests when the Super League happened and Manchester United fans got that match against Liverpool called off. I'm just thinking, this is a hypothetical situation we don't want to see. The Glazers pull back and stay. And so hypothetically, they don't sell. The reaction at Old Trafford, I think I can't imagine what the reception reaction would be. Like, it would be that Liverpool match that got called off would be the norm. That would be every day, in my opinion.
If you look at it, a couple of bad results, it'll go a lot worse. You know, if we start off, say we get beat by Wolves at home and then we lose to Tottenham away the next one, the atmosphere just remains toxic. You know what I mean? Every time United score a goal, and even throughout the game, you can hear the ground, we want Glazers out. You know what I mean? They don't care. Do you know what? If they cared about us and they put some money in, but what they've got away with is that since they took over, it's probably been our most successful period. Look at all the Champions League finals we got in the late tens. You know, without that great Barcelona team, we'd probably have five European Cups now at least. But it's the money they've took out of the club and the way they've not done anything at Old Trafford. Because, you know, I go to away grounds and it's like you come fair. No, we don't sit down. We stand up, sit down at half time. But Old Trafford, my season ticket, it's a good job it's at the end of the row because I have to turn my legs to the side so I can watch the match. Because other than that, my knees are in the back of some poor old gentleman who wants to watch the match in comfort. I just think that we need them out. We need to build a new stadium next to Old Trafford. There's enough land there because
that's my next point.
Go on, pal.
Oh, no, sorry to interrupt, but just back to the ownership. John saying it's all non-disclosure agreements. It's hard when we're in the dark without the sort of the knowledge and sort of conversations are going behind the scenes. Just adds to the frustration as a fan. And Rob, late to the party, good to see you, mate. Get involved in this discussion, Rob, in regards to the stadium. Just mentioned there, Webby, Old Trafford. Look, it's the greatest stadium in the world, in my opinion. I absolutely love it. It feels like home, and I'm about as far away as physically possible as you can be from home. I'm on the other side of the world. But you're right, it's fallen apart. And I'm just thinking, the discussion, I was always, when was discussing the new owners, my first thing, okay, you can't knock Old Trafford down, it needs to be redeveloped. And I'm thinking, hang on, I came around, I'm thinking, and actually you could build a new stadium. Okay, I'm not sure what's going to happen to the name. Is it going to call it a different name? Is that going to change things? I'm not sure. But now I'm coming back to the idea, no, I'd like to see it redeveloped. But just you're thinking, obviously someone who visits it every single week, in terms of, I'm happy with either, but whatever happens, something needs to be done. Because as you say, people aren't even able to sit down.
Yeah, I look at Old Trafford there, but I don't think to myself, we'd like to stay where we are, the ground reef, but where could we play? You know, there's nowhere big enough. You know, you look at Tottenham, we're quite lucky that they had Wembley to play while White Hart Lane was getting done. City won't let us play there, plus it's not big enough. They only fill it when those and take that play there. You know, and they're trying to make that bigger. I just think that we need to build it, and there's plans obviously that we've seen that they could build a new stadium at the side of Old Trafford.
Looks like you could.
Old Trafford. Yeah, there's plenty of room at the back there, but going to the naming rights, I thought it'd go a long time ago. I think that would have been the icing on the cake if the Glazers would have sold more of our soul and renamed Old Trafford. I think that's when the rights would have started.
Yeah.
You know, but you never know. The new stadium, it brings money in, and they say, listen, we can get X amount of money by calling Old Trafford, whatever, the Emirates Old Trafford. and all the money's going to the manager for players, then fans would accept it. It's when Old Trafford sells its naming rights and there's so many millions going in Glazers' pockets again. So let's just wait and see. Hopefully, next time we chat, probably before the start of the season, we've got new owners and we're very, very happy. But it seems to me that these clowns are not going to sell. Well, not yet. And one of my mates made a great point the other day. He said the worst thing we could have happened to United was winning a trophy and coming in the Champions League. What we needed was finishing 12th. They might have already gone, but obviously as a United fan, we wanted that first pot for Eric. I'm back in the Champions League because you got no deserved rights to be in the Champions League. But for me, the Champions League without United is like Tom without Jeddah. Just doesn't work. You know what I mean? So we're back in that. Hopefully we'll show a good show, but hopefully let's get these Glazers out. I'll get up each morning and I pray that they go, but they're still there. But tomorrow's another day. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen next Thursday. We just never know. But we pray that they leave the club, made the money, and they just leave us alone forever.
No, definitely agree, 100%. Now we'll wrap up just in regards to a bit of just sort of the feelings towards the on-pitch goings on in terms of how we're lining up this season. But just one comment here from John. Personally prefer it to have it redeveloped. Needs some shine. Still magical to me always. Hopefully Old Trafford gets expanded to at least 90,000. And if you got any questions for Webby, throw them in there just as we start to wrapping up. But as I said, Webby, Manchester's not a football club. We do watch football on a Saturday. I'm just thinking, I thought last season was very good. I thought that there were some big low points, and no doubt about that. You can't hide from that. But in considering where we were under the end of the Solskjaer time and Ralph Rangnick era, the way we did start the season, we finished it with Champions League football and a trophy, as you say. I thought it was very good, and I really fell in love with what Eric Ten Hag was doing. I thought he tells me he's the man for the job. New season, everything can change. So I'm just thinking, what are you feeling in regards to our season's chances? Look, we do look at City, unfortunately. They're a different beast, unfortunately. But I do believe if we do get things right, we can finish above a team like Arsenal.
Yeah, if he gets the right tools, not a problem. That's the thing about him. I'm thinking he's been promised so much, and at the moment it's not going to materialise with who he targets, who he probably wants, and who he's probably going to end up with. But as you're saying, from the end of Rangnick, it was a mess. The club was in a mess. You could not see us getting top 6, mine top 4, and he's done that. So the club needs to back him on the success now and get us an extra 3 or 4 points towards City, because they're not unbeatable. We proved that last year in the league game at Old Trafford. They can get beat. So got to back the manager, got to give him the right tools, gets the right tools, expect more progress. He had some major decisions there last year where a lot of people would have bottled it. Getting Ronaldo out of the club, not playing Maguire. He was a club captain for a lot of money, not playing Maguire. There's other decisions there he probably made which we've not found out about. And you got to back him. He seems a top bloke. He knows his football. You don't stay at Ajax. And for that long. And we're lucky we've got him. So they've got to back the manager, mate. They've got to back him. But at the moment, it looks like he's going for his second and third choice, which he wanted. Because obviously, I think he's a lover of the game. You'd be daft not to be. And he's going for the kid who's only scored 30-odd goals, but he could probably make him into that better player. You look at City, which I don't like to look at, but Guardiola's bought players and made them better. Made them better players. Kyle Walker would have thought of it. People like that. They are good players, and it's what to say. So back at it, get new owners in, and I think within a couple of years we'll be right up there with City.
No, look, I share the confidence, and Andrew, good to see you. It's good to see you as well, Webby. I don't want to finish on City or sort of look to a positive for Manchester City, but good to get your thoughts in regards to discussing with a mate the other day that was kind of forgotten about here, which is a good thing. But just someone who's close to the ground in Manchester, unfortunately, we do know what happened a couple of weeks ago. City did win the treble, and as bad as that was, you kind of, what's the feeling there? You kind of go about your day-to-day business and it's not sort of rubbed in too much, because I've kind of forgotten about it, really. It did sting, no doubt about it, but not as painful as I once thought.
The great part about it was, obviously, it was all over our tellies from where we live in Manchester. It absolutely bucketed down. It never stopped raining for about 5 hours. And it tells me that the man upstairs is a big red and he let him have it. No, you've got to give him credit where credit's due, unfortunately. they won the treble, you know, and I was getting a bit of stick on Twitter about City fans, and I just sent them a picture with me and Schmeichel and the 3 trophies with the headlines. I'd done it years ago, and it shuts them up. No, you know, the pressure's on them next year to relay that, you know, to see what they can do. But they are a good club. It's run well. They got proper owners. That's all we want. We get proper owners. We'll be run well. And within a few years, we'll be right on their dogtails and hopefully become kings of England again in Europe. But let's see. Let's get these out first, and then it takes time. You know, look at his first year. He didn't win anything. So there you go. So back the manager, get new owners in. And like you say, in a couple of years, we'll be right up there again, no doubt about it.
It's so frustrating when you do look at City and you see how much money's been pumped in, how they are run football-wise, and what's happened at Old Trafford and Manchester United in terms of how much money hasn't been invested and how badly we've been run. You think, and we're still that much of a bigger club. You think, if we did get it right, what could happen? Like it's the sky's the limit. Like, we should be winning Champions League every single season.
Yeah, great. City would never ever be as big as United, and I'm not dragging anything. It's just Manchester United Football Club, you know. People have forgot about it already. You know, you don't hear any talk about it. I've not had any City fans come on the phone, which shocked me. I never got one text message, and I do know a lot of Blues when they won against Inter Milan. You know, I thought I better turn my phone off here for a few days. Didn't get one text message because they know they'll always be in our shadow, always. So they've won the treble, fair play to them, but they'll never be as big as Man United, never.
I agree 100%. Good way to finish it. And just as we wrap up, you mentioned Peter Schmeichel there. I just want, as I said, so many fans here from Australia head over to sort of Old Trafford, and we obviously interact with you at Hotel Football, etc. But we'll sort of follow you on social media and the Webby O'Neill channel, etc. Yeah. You've got a great relationship with so many sort of former Reds. Just in terms of, how do you feel in terms of, just as a person, as a Man United fan, in terms of being able to, you say Peter Schmeichel, you see stuff with Wes Brown, Paul Scholes, Gary Neville, in terms of, you sort of just wake up in a bit of a pinch yourself moment in terms of sort of just the experiences you do have as a United fan?
Yeah, I'm quite lucky. Obviously, I worked at United when these boys were playing. We just remained friends, you know, which is quite lucky, you know, that they are my friends, and I've never bothered them, and they're hurting as much as me and you. Yeah. You know, they're hurting, they're Reds. You know, they might have played at other clubs, like obviously Peter Schmeichel still gets a lot of stick from going to City. But if you read the story that he wanted to come back to United and Ferguson signed Barthez, you know, and he wanted to come back. No, they are good lads, and they're really, really hurting as much as me and you that United get back to where they was when they were playing, you know. And they're all good lads, you know. We do go out quite a lot, not all together, but certain times we go out with a few players, we go and get something to eat, and we have a good catch up. So I'm in a privileged position, but I just class them as normal human beings who had that extra talent, you know, some of what me and you never had. They've lived my dream, you know, but they are good lads, and like saying, they're deserting as much as any United fan in the world, and no doubt throughout the next season we'll meet up at various times and we'll have a good moan. Like 2 men in the pub, you know, but one of them's played 500 games for United and got 100 England cap. But let's say they're hurting and they want the best for United, you know. And Gary's come out publicly and said he wants the owners out, you know, and he said that. And let's see what happens. But like saying, they're all hurting. And one day we'll be able to meet up and we won't moan because we'll be top of the league and we'll be winning everything. But no, they're all great.
Winning changes everything. No, it's good to hear. But
they're all great lads, you know what I mean? They're all top lads.
No, good to hear. And Andrew, someone up here nicely. It will take time. Can't change managers now. Eric Ten Hag must stay to build a fortress. I think one thing in terms of, can't speak for every Manchester United fan, but Webby agrees. I know a lot of people in the live chat as well. In terms of one manager or one man who does give us confidence, with the hands tied behind his back, which the Glazers have done, Eric Ten Hag, I think since the moment he's walked in at Old Trafford, has done brilliant. There's been ups and downs. But considering the challenges that he's faced, I think he's been absolutely brilliant. And it does give me confidence that if we can get sort of some backing behind him, he's the man to take us forward. But look, it has been an absolute pleasure, Webby. Anyone in the live chat, you can see the link to the Webby. I'm sure you are subscribed, but if not, there is a link to Webby O'Neill in the title and also in the description below. Go over and give them a follow. And as I said, some of the content in regards to, I'd say, at Hotel Football, so some of the interviews with former players, and it just sort of, I just want to sort of thank you as well from the Manchester United Supporters Club. He has said so many travel over from Sydney to Old Trafford, and it's a once in a lifetime for many people. But so many people do go over and only have positive things to say. And so in terms of stuff you're doing online and social media, etc., is obviously fantastic. But on the ground at Old Trafford, your work, your presence, and just your interaction with fans doesn't go unnoticed here on the other side of the world. So just, that's a bit of thank you.
Do you know what I love? I'm fortunate that I live so close to the ground, but I love seeing people from all over the world come to United. I've got a good friend of mine who's back over with you now, Mark O'Connor, loves United, sleeps United, dreams United, No doubt Mark will be back over soon. But no, anyone who comes to Old Trafford, you're more than welcome. Hotel Football, we're one big family. Whether it's your first game or your 501st game, come and see us. We'll look after you, give you a great experience, and hopefully take 3 points home with you that day and enjoy your trip. But come over and see us when you're over in Manchester. Hotel Football, come and see us, please.
Well, speaking of Mark O'Connor, I'm actually having dinner with him tomorrow night. Our Manchester United Supporters Club, the committee. We've got a dinner tomorrow in regards
Make sure he brings his wallet.
Well, but it's our 30th anniversary this season. So this actually might even be this day, might be the 9th. But this time next year, we have our 30th anniversary from the Supporters Club. So Webby, so many people come from Sydney to Manchester. Where anyone from Manchester wants to come out to Sydney this time next year for the 30th anniversary, more than welcome. We'll definitely host you and have a good night out on the town. But as I said, all the links to Webby's in the title and the description below. Go give him a follow and make sure you do leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. But Webby, an absolute pleasure, mate. Truly appreciate it.
Pleasure. No problem. And hopefully we can have a chat just before the season starts. And hopefully with a few new signings and new owners, you never know. But it's always great to chat to people. Reds, whether they're from Australia, Indonesia, Salford, Altrincham. I love you all. Keep up the good work.
Perfect, mate. Yeah, no, definitely. We'll lock you in for that, and I'll get Larry on the podcast as well. He's dying to have a chat with you. Again, lock that in before the season. But until then, have a good one, everyone, and chat to you soon.
Cheers. Take care. Thank you.